What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another deck profile. Today I've got Gishki. If you guys are new to the channel, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. I try to post deck profiles and do live streams every Thursday. And obviously, when I'm recording this, it's a Thursday, which means content. There should be a stream later today if you guys are seeing this video, or I might already be live. Please be sure to go check out the channel to see if I am, and if I'm not, come back next Thursday, and I should be. The times are a bit random, but as I said, I should be live, and there should always be a video unless I don't have a deck ready. And I'm on the road to 150 subscribers before July 6th, 2023. That's my birthday, and I have a special deck profile planned for that day. Without further ado, my friends, let's get into the deck profile. Starting us off with the deck profile, we have 3 copies of Gishki Gust Kraken. We're on 3 Gust Kraken. Gust Kraken, whenever it's ritual summoned, you can look at 2 cards in your opponent's hand, shuffle 1 back, and that's really all it does whenever it's ritual summoned. However, this card used to be banned along with our next monster we're going to talk about, which is 2 copies of Mind August. Both these used to be banned because you would hand loop your opponent for 5. This deck can somewhat consistently loop for 3 because I'm more focused on playing the new support rather than playing the hand loop. And Mind August targets 5 cards in any graveyard and shuffles them back. Really solid card. It can recur itself. It can recur your Gust Krakens. It recurs everything. This card is so good, along with Gust Kraken. Next, for one of the better support cards from Photon Hypernova for this deck, 2 copies of Gishki Nirmanas. Nirmanas is a monster negate. By bouncing a Gishki monster you control or Gishki ritual back to your hand to negate and shuffle a monster back into the deck. It only negates monster effects though, so be warned. And it can't die by battle by monsters summoned from the extra deck. I believe it's only battle. Yes, it's only battle. So, still a really solid card, and it's a soft once per turn on that negate. So if you can find a way to summon both copies of this card in a single turn, this card's crazy. That is it for the main deck ritual monsters. Next up, we have our starters / extenders / whatever you want them to be. Starting off with 3 copies of Gishki Grimness. Grimness is probably the best support card in the entire deck from Photon Hypernova, in my opinion. So why do I say that? It's because Grimness, whenever it's normal summon, special summons on Gishki from the deck and locks you into only being able to attack the ritual monsters, and it also treats itself as the full tribute for any Gishki ritual monster, which is insanity. This card is just so good for the deck. My hat tapped my phone. Whoo! Sorry about that one, guys. Whoo! Boy, that was a close one. So, back on Grimness. Grimness, super solid. Love this card. And yes, I'm wearing a hat because I was outside not too long ago. Next, we're on 2 copies of Gishki Abyss. Abyss is probably the best card and the only card you're really going to want to summon off of Grimness. Why do I say that? Is because whenever this card is simply summoned in any way, you can flip summon it, you can normal summon it, special summon it, you can loop-de-loop summon this card, you can Ass Blast summon this card, and you get to search for a Gishki with 1,000 or less defense. Solid card. That is it for like the non-discardy effects in this deck, and and basically those are the actual bodies you're going to be putting on the board between the rituals and non-rituals. Is just these monsters right here. These are the only ones that are really going to stick to the board ever. Because the next few monsters we're going to talk about are Shadow and Vision. And anybody who's played Gishki knows why these don't stick to the board, why they actually don't see the board ever. They both treat themselves as full material for any ritual monster that would be summoned, and on top of that, they can discard themselves to either add a ritual monster or a ritual spell, shadow being spell, vision being monster, from your deck to your hand, simply by discarding them. Not once per turn as well. So if you have multiples, you pitch them to search multiple things. And that is it for the Gishki monsters we are running in the main deck. Next, we're running 3 copies of Gishki Aquamirror. Aquamirror, super solid. It is the best ritual spell by far, because there's no conditions on it or anything like that, and it has the best recursion text on it ever. Add a ritual spell, or not ritual, add a ritual monster from your graveyard back to your hand, shuffle this card back into the deck. Solid, and this card is searchable off of Shadow, so you're playing 6 copies of this card. Really good. Then we're also on 3 copies of Focused Aquamirror, which is 3 extra copies of any of your Gishki monsters. Oh, so that means you have 9 copies of this card in your deck. Super solid. And then if you ritual summon a water ritual monster during the end phase, you can banish Aquamirror to banish Focused Aquamirror to set an Aquamirror spell or trap from your deck. Really, really solid cards. Now on to more of the engine-y and generic stuff. We are on 2 Talismandra, 2 Candle, and 1 Chalice Slime as the incantation engine. Now, I know I should probably be running more Chalice Slime, less of these, but my reasoning as to why I'm running more of these and less Chalice Slime is because we can search Chalice Slime, and if you open with these, it's not the worst. Summoning from the extra deck is not always an option with this deck, so being locked out isn't bad, but Talismandra on its own is a Mind August or a Gust Kraken by tributing it. So if you can go Chalice Slime into Talismandra, search any of your ritual monsters, which is what it does, it just turns into that ritual monster. Basically, this is saying summon one of your ritual monsters from the deck. Is basically what this card says, which is really, really nuts. And then, obviously, Candle gives you more ritual spell searching, so you get to search for more copies of your Aquamirror. So you have 11 copies of it in the deck, and it's just crazy the amount of searching you can do. And that is it for the incantation engine. I know I'm not running the ritual spell, but that's because it's not necessarily needed in this deck. Now on to the more generic stuff. We're on 3 copies of Salvage. This is basically just, you've used Gishki Vision, well, use them again. Because this targets 2 water monsters with 1500 or less attack in your graveyard, and you add them both back to your hand. So, as I said, you've used Shadow Vision, grab them back, use them again. Really, really solid. I love this card. And then we have 3 copies of Preparation of Rites. Preparation of Rites searches Chalice Slime. So, obviously, like I said, opening with the Talismandra or the Candle, which I should have gone over them a little bit more. Which, Talismandra, you reveal a ritual monster, summon it and an incantation from deck, and then Candle reveals ritual spell to do the exact same thing. And then they search monsters or spells. Talismandra's monsters, Candle spells, they both lock you out of the extra deck while they're on the field. Now, back into Preparation of Rites. This searches any level 7 or lower ritual monsters. So this searches Chalice Slime, Gust Kraken, Mind August out of the main deck, straight to your hand. And then you can also add a ritual spell from your graveyard back to your hand. So if you don't want to shuffle back your Aquamirror, you just grab it back with this card. Next, we're on 3 copies of Surface. Surface is essentially Monster Reborn, but specifically for fish, sea serpent, and so on and so forth. This is meant to recur your Abyss over and over again to get as many searches as possible, which is the point of playing Abyss, because it's not once per turn. Then I'm on 2 copies of Deep Sea Aria. Deep Sea Aria is 2 more copies of either Vision or Shadow, or 1 extra copy of both, but it's a hard once per turn, and you have to banish a water monster from your graveyard in order to activate this card. That is it for the main deck. Now we're going to get into the extra and side deck. Starting us off in the extra deck, we have 3 copies of Cross Sheep. Cross Sheep, you're only ever going to be using one effect, and that is the effect when you ritual summon to a zone it points to, you get to draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards. Really, really solid, being able to loot through your deck, being able to simply dig deeper into your deck and put stuff into the graveyard to maybe shuffle back with Mind August, or to grab back with Salvage. Really, really good. Next, we're on 3 copies of Dynamondo. Dynamondo, another one of the really, really good support cards from Photon Hypernova. The reason why I say this is because whenever it's special summoned, not link summoned, special summoned, you can... Oh gosh, excuse me for just a second. Getting lightheaded and my throat is getting really, really dry. Because I've done this 3 times. If it's special summoned, you can target a monster your opponent controls and a ritual monster in your graveyard and shuffle both back. And then you have a quick effect to tribute this card to target a ritual in your graveyard and either add it back to your hand or special summon it. Super solid. Recursion for Chalice Slime yet again. So you're always going to be discarding Chalice Slime to itself in this deck, essentially. No big deal with that. Then I'm on 1 copy of Abyss Keeper. Abyss Keeper is for if you open with one of your Abyss, or one of your Gishki Abysses, you make this, summon Abyss from your hand to a zone it points to, search a card. Can't be used as link material the turn it's summoned, but still really, really good as a generic extender, and it's also a form of removal. If it survives a turn, you can banish a card, this one other card you control, and a card your opponent controls. Self-explanatory where you go from there. Then we have 1 copy of Crusadia, or Mekk-Knight Crusadia Avermax. This card is a little difficult to summon from the extra deck, but there is a card in the extra deck that I have that makes it a little bit easier. You guys probably already know what it is, and if you're building this deck online, you've probably already added it in. However, I'm not going to go over it right away. However, I do recommend cutting this. You can cut this and play the Nephthys Link 3 instead, because I don't have it in the deck. I tried finding my 2 copies of it, and I couldn't find either of them. So, I'm using this as a placeholder, so just imagine this is the Nephthys of Sacred Flame. Next, we're on a Nightmare package of Griffin, Unicorn, Phoenix, and Cerberus. Another card you could also cut is the Phoenix, or is the Griffin for that Link 3. So again, keep in mind you can cut either of these. Doesn't matter which one. Then we're on 1 copy of IP Masquerena to be able to quick effect make either Avermax or a Unicorn, depending on the board, on your opponent's turn. Or you could also quick effect make our 1 copy of Apollosa on your opponent's turn for additional negates. And then we're on 1 copy of Boral Sword for if we, can go for a game, because this deck is going to probably want to go long, not even going to lie. So, yeah, y'all just bear with me for a second. I am very tired of recording this deck profile. Like I said, I think this is number 3 or 4. Now for the side deck, I'm on 3 copies of Gishki Vanity. This card is super solid. It turns your ritual monsters and your ritual spells into super poly. Your opponent can't respond to them, which is really good. And all you have to do is during your main phase discard. You can discard this during your main phase at any point. Solid card. And it's searchable off of Abyss, so you don't even have to worry about that. But yeah, I'm running Triple Vanity because it's just a really good side deck option for if you're playing against a lot of anti-summon cards. Next, I'm on 2 copies of Gishki Chain in the side deck. reason why I'm on 2 copies of it in the side and 0 of it in the main is because there's the main deck is already so cramped, and the side deck is more to help you when you're in certain matchups. Like if you're going for a long game, I would recommend Chain, because Chain, whenever it's normal summon, Pot of Dualities for a Gishki card, and then puts the remaining cards that you didn't add on top of your deck in any order. Then I'm on the 3rd copy of Abyss in the side deck because, if you feel like you need the 3rd one in there, you can put this in. And it's never bad to have more of your best searcher. And now we're just going to move on with Triple Zeal Gigas. This card is better for when you have to go second, in my opinion. Pay 1,000 life points, draw a card. If it's a Gishki, reveal it, shuffle a card on the field back into the deck. Mandatory shuffle back. And with as many Gishki cards we are playing, you might end up shuffling this card back, which is why I'm saying this is better going second than just playing it going first. It is a mandatory shuffle back, but paying 1,000 life points to draw a card isn't bad, especially on a 3,200 attack point body. Next, I'm on 2 copies of Cyclone. Cyclone is hand information. You declare a monster type and attribute. Look at a random card in your opponent's hand. If it's the monster of the declared type and attribute, you shuffle it back into the deck. Or if it's not, you just reveal, or your opponent reveals the card. You get the information about it being in their hand, and they just get to keep it nice and snug in their hand. Then I am on my 3rd copy of Mind August, my 3rd copy of Nirmanis, and my 3rd copy of Deep Sea Aria in the side. And then I am on 1 copy of Necromir in the side. Reason why I don't like Necromir so much is because it's honestly better to play this when you're playing Vanity, because this becomes super poly. If you guys don't know what Necromir does, because it's another Photon Hypernova support card. Or you can use an opponent's monster as material for the ritual summon of a monster. And winded. And after you ritual summon it, you take damage equal to the ritual monster's original attack, which is awful because most of the time you're going to be summoning something with over 2,000 attack points, sometimes 3,000, rare cases more than 3,000. So doming yourself for 3,000 is never good. But having the option to use a monster your opponent controls as material, really solid. And then on top of that, this card puts a Gishki from your graveyard back on top of your deck and puts itself on the bottom of your deck. And with that, my friends, this will conclude our deck profile once I finish reorganizing everything, and we'll get into the outro. I already reorganized the extra deck, so I wouldn't have to waste time on that. But while I am doing this, if you guys would do me a huge favor, if y'all enjoyed this deck profile, please hit that subscribe button, share this video around to some friends that are looking to get into Yu-Gi-Oh! This is not one of the more budget decks that I've built, but it is a fun deck nonetheless to maybe play online and try to learn. And when when the new support from Photon Hypernova comes to Master Duel, building it in Master Duel should be fun. And I have plenty of other decks on my channel that are budget friendly. So like I said, if you guys are looking into getting into the game or getting friends into the game, send them this video. Be like, this guy makes deck profiles that are more on the budget side. Check him out if you like the decks. So on and so forth. And with that, I will see you all later. Peace.